If we were to travel back to the nights of nearly 4,000 years ago, specifically to Babylon, we might have been warned by our fellow neighbours that something wicked lurked in the dark. According to this ancient Mesopotamian mythology, female spirits, known as the Lilitu, were the bringers of misfortune, diseases, and were prone to harm and even murder children. Rooted in the cultural and religious beliefs of early Mesopotamian societies, it was such a demon like the Lilitu that reflected their attempts to explain and personify the unknown dangers of their environment. By examining the Lilitu's characteristic and its role within ancient superstition, we can gain insight into how the people of Sumeria, Assyria and Babylon may have dealt with misfortune and tragedy, especially when it came to the loss of their children. In early Mesopotamian tales, the Lilitu were believed to be a class of spirits associated with misfortune, rape, and even death, particularly toward infants. French Assyriologist Charles Fossey also made note that according to cuneiform inscriptions, the Lilitu were believed amongst the Assyrians to be disease-carrying wind spirits that spread bacteria and viruses indiscriminately. Much like the later concept of the succubi, the Lilitu were also believed to prey on sleeping men, whereby they would violate the male victim sexually. Many of you would have by now made the connection between the term Lilitu and the more popular entity Lilith. And yes, this is largely believed to be something of an evolution of this specific group of demons. Indeed, whilst we don't have explicit evidence that there is a cultural or linguistic connection between these ancient demons and the entity Lilith, there have been attempts to suggest that the diabolical Lilitu were eventually conflated into the Judaic Lilith, who, according to medieval and Hebraic belief, would also serve the same purpose of the Lilitu, by preying on men in the night and abducting and killing children. According to some beliefs, the name Lilith stemmed from the Lilin, believed to be closely associated with the name Lilitu, and could otherwise be known as the Lilu, these being the male counterparts. According to 19th century British Assyriologist Stephen Langdon, we understand that these demons were closely associated with the demon Lamashtu, commonly found in Mesopotamian mythology. In fact, in one translation of cuneiform inscription, Langdon tells us, the Lamashtu, who cause diseases in the body, the Lilu, who wanders in the plain, they have come nigh unto suffering man on the outside. They have brought about a painful malady in his body. Later, we see the name Lilith appear in the complete Jewish Bible and the Orthodox Jewish Bible, specifically in Isaiah 34:14, where according to these translations, Isaiah spots what is believed to be either the Mesopotamian spirit or some kind of night bird or creature. The exact origins of the Lilitu are shrouded in mystery. How they first formed, why they attacked humans, and what their day-to-day look like are ultimately unknown to us, and were possibly an ancient tradition even to the Mesopotamians. There is a modern theory that the demonic deity Lamashtu, who, like the Lilitu, was believed to feed on the blood of infants and was largely blamed for infant deaths as well as miscarriages, was responsible for bringing the Lilitu into existence, similarly to how Lilith is considered to be the mother of all demons in the later medieval tradition. However, such a claim cannot be substantiated from the ancient texts available to us. It wouldn't be much of a stretch to consider this as plausible, however, when we consider that Lamashtu was a demon who seemed to operate without restriction from the other gods. Indeed, some have considered Lamashtu to have been a goddess in her own right, the daughter of the principal deity Anu. With this in mind, it might be said that if Lamashtu was to have demonic underlings, they would certainly operate in the same or similar wicked fashion that she did, drinking the blood of children, soliciting men in their sleep, plaguing people with nightmares, and spreading disease. What's interesting about Lamashtu is that it was believed that in order to ward against her, superstitious Mesopotamians invoked the god Pazuzu, who in some interpretations was also a demon, onto amulets and statues. You might think of it as fighting evil with evil. Pazuzu was believed to be an entity that brought famine and drought, but at the very least, he wasn't killing children nor harming pregnant women. In the final empire of the Mesopotamian regions, the Sasanian Empire, we find some of the first usages of protective spells that were written on incantation bowls. These bowls were believed to have been buried upside down and underneath the structure of a house, whereby it was believed that demons, specifically the Lilitu, could be trapped by the bowl. Amongst these inscriptions, we do find the name Lilith, which some suggest may have been the final evolution of the Lilitu into one singular entity. However, we also find mention of the demon Bagdana, also found in early Jewish incantation texts written in Aramaic, who is styled as the King of Liliths. The center of the bowl usually featured a depiction of either the Lilitu or Lilith or the male Lilu. Around the depiction, the incantation, which are mostly references to the Talmud, is sprawled in the shape of a spiral. These texts, if you will, were believed to have been written in Jewish Babylonian Aramaic, Syriac, Mandaic, Middle Persian, and even Arabic. With a correct arrangement of letters around the bowl, and with the bowl situated either underneath the house or buried somewhere on the property, the Lilitu and the Lilu were believed to be rendered powerless. In another tradition, the Lilitu and the Lilu operated beyond just murder, violence, and the spreading of disease, but were able to produce their own offspring, similar to the process conducted by the medieval succubus and incubus. However, instead of stealing the man's seed, as seen in the typical mythology of the succubus, the Lilitu was able to adopt the physical features of a wife, seduce her husband, and conceive a child. Whatever happened to this demonic hybrid of human and demon, later dubbed as Cambion in medieval accounts, is unknown, but it may very well have been a means by which the ancient Mesopotamians could explain nocturnal emissions, especially if it was coupled with a case of sleep paralysis. The legend continues that when the husband and wife did conceive a child together naturally, the Lilitu would grow envious and seek to either cause the woman to miscarriage or to strangle the baby in its cot once it was born. Similarly, the Lilu could transform into the husband to seduce the human wife, and when that wife gave birth to a child, it was believed to be deformed or somehow deviant from its other siblings. Once more, it was believed that when this half-demonic offspring was shunned or abandoned, the Lilu would seek vengeance on the family by killing its human siblings. As already mentioned, we find the term Lilith or Lilith in several translations of the Bible. In both the complete Jewish Bible and the Orthodox Jewish Bible, we see Isaiah describing the ruins of Edom after God's judgment, where he sees several wild animals, including jackals, wildcats, and hyenas, who have made the desolate land their lair. Amongst these animals, according to these translations, he sees the Lilith finding a place to rest too, essentially illustrating this land as a place that is hostile to human life. The use of a Lilith here can be quite confusing, especially given the many translations. In the complete Jewish Bible, for example, the Lilith is singular and described as female. We are told, Lilith, the night monster, will lurk there and find herself a place to rest. Some suggest that this translation is hinting at this Lilith actually being Lilith, the first wife of Adam, who became the evil mother of demons. Meanwhile, the Lilith in the Orthodox Jewish Bible refers to the Lilith as it, telling us, Lilith, night creature, dwells there and finds for itself a place of rest. Through this translation, we can reconcile that the author may have been referring to the traditional Mesopotamian Lilith, opting not to assign the creature with a gender and leaving it otherwise ambiguous. However, it can also be argued nonetheless that this is a reference to Lilith, though it's impossible to really know for sure. Many other translations, including the Amplified Bible, the Darby translation, and the International Standard Version all refer to this creature outrightly as Lilith, though given the context of each entry, it's likely that each author is referring to some arbitrary night monster or night creature. In some traditions, this Lilith might very well be a night hag, some kind of godless witch, or perhaps even a screeching owl that fits right at home with the likes of jackals and hyenas. If you were to consult the more common King James Bible or New International versions, you'll find the mention of any kind of Lilith or Lilith omitted and subtly replaced with either a screeching owl or the mysterious night creatures respectively. Commentators and scholars generally disagree as to what the meaning of these night creatures are, whether they're a collective of the Mesopotamian spirits, whether it's a cleverly disguised nod to Lilith, or whether they are simply just savage nocturnal creatures that Isaiah doesn't recognize, possibly even a very agitated owl. While some modern scholars are hesitant to label the creature in Isaiah 34:14 as a demon, or something more akin to the Babylonian interpretation, the Mesopotamians were more decisive in exactly what these night demons were, and what they were capable of. But could there be any truth in such creatures? Today, a more scientific conclusion would be that the Lilitu were merely figments of the ancient Mesopotamian imagination, that these were merely narratives drawn up by old society in an effort to explain that which they could not understand. With this idea, the Lilitu were more like a coping mechanism, a figure by which grieving communities could blame for tragedy that could not otherwise be comprehended. Additionally, if the Mesopotamians believed the gods had given them crops, rainfall, sunlight, life, and everything in between, then it would make sense that something equally supernatural might scheme to take those things away too. With that in mind, the Lilitu fit the bill for many of the hauntings and tragedies that might have been experienced by early cultures. For example, the Lilitu haunting man in his sleep and trying to strangle or ride him is quite a common experience by those who suffer from sleep paralysis, where they are bound to the bed and unable to escape from what is essentially believed to be a projection of the mind. Nocturnal emissions, or wet dreams in men, might have also been explained away by the Lilitu attempting to seduce a man or steal away his semen, as is the case with the medieval accounts of the succubus. Disease, illness, miscarriages, and even the death of newborn infants may have also been blamed on the Lilitu as a means to explain such tragedies away, dispelling the notion that these misfortunes were not simply down to sheer cruelty of luck, but was actually the work of something tangible and wicked, that which could, if the right measures were taken, be avoided altogether. As always guys, if you've enjoyed today's episode, then don't forget to leave this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.